Before we get into this video is sponsored by Pro Guides. If you are dedicated to improving as a player, I highly recommend you check them out. Link in the description.
Yes, I am a weapon. Why are they running? This is very exciting.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mickey C, aka TheLoLHounds, and today we have got a build guide on the highest ranked NA Orianna main. Now, I haven't done one of these videos in a while, but I came across a pretty interesting Orianna build that you do not see very often, and I wanted to make a video on it. He goes by the summoner name N for New York, and he or she currently has over 100 games so far this season with a 70% win rate on Orianna. Now, most Orianna players build morello as their first item. However, this person often builds Hextech GLP 800 as their first item, which, like I said before, you don't see very often. So without further ado, let's get into this build guide. So to start things off, his summoner spells are usually flash and ignites, but sometimes he would take TP. From what I noticed, he likes to take TP against mid laners that like to roam a lot, such as Aurelion Sol, Zed, and LeBlanc. But apart from that, he would just take ignites, which I guess is kind of interesting or surprising, since most mid lane control mages don't often go for aggressive summoner spells such as ignite, but I guess he prefers the early game lane pressure and kill potential. As for his runes, he takes 9 magic penetration reds, 9 health per level yellows, 3 magic resist blues, and 6 scaling CDR blues, which would give him 10% CDR at level 18, and 3 ability power quints. He takes these runes in every single matchup, including AD matchups. As for his masteries, he goes with 12-18-0, with his keystone being Thunderlord's Decree. Pretty standard page. I guess the main thing to note is he takes meditation over merciless for the mana regen in lane. Okay, now we can move on to his item build. So like I said before, most people build morello on Orianna as their first full item, but he prefers the Hextech GLP 800 in most situations. If you compare the two items, the Hextech GLP is 100 gold more expensive. They both give 400 mana. Morello's gives 20 more ability power and 20% CDR, but Hextech GLP gives 300 health and has that frost belt active. So Hextech GLP is a slightly more tankier option, but you just don't get that cooldown reduction. So you could say he thinks Orianna doesn't really need the CDR, and he would prefer the health stats, which is a very good general stat against all champions. He does sometimes still go with Morello's because the Lost Chapter, which builds into Morellonomicon, is 200 gold cheaper than Catalyst, which builds into GLP 800. So if he backs without enough gold for the Catalyst, but he does have enough for Lost Chapter, he might just go with the Morellonomicon build instead. Also, Morello's is still a very good option against healing champions such as Vladimir. But now let's move on to starting items, which would be Doran's Ring and 2 health pots with a yellow trinket. His first back would depend on the amount of gold he has. If he has 1100 gold, he would get Catalyst. If he has 900 gold, he would get Lost Chapter. If he has 650 gold, he would get Dark Seal and Boots. If he has 350 gold, he will just get the Dark Seal. Any bonus gold, he would then buy a Control Ward and some health pots. His core build would be Hextech GLP 800 or the Morellonomicon, followed by Sorcerer's Shoes, Rylais, and a Zhonyas. His remaining items would then be situational, but it would usually consist of something like a Void Staff and maybe a Banshee's Veil. Other items he would consider would be a Liandry's Torment against health stacking tanky champions, and Lichbane or Deathcap for more damage. As for his skill order, he would start Q, then W, then E level 3, max Q first, W second, E third, and his ultimate whenever he can. Finally, let's talk about his playstyle. He basically just focuses on farming early laning phase as best he can while trading with Q and W. The best setup for a trade in lane is when your ball is located by the enemy ranged minions, and when the enemy champion goes up for a CS, he can quickly QW them for an easy trade. Possibly also look to add an auto attack or two with Thunderlords and then shield any return damage for a really strong trade. Then once he gets them low enough, or when he hits level 6, he will look for an all-in with Ignite. Orianna does have one of the strongest ultimates in the game, so a level 6 all-in is something you definitely should be looking out for. Once he gets Catalyst or Lost Chapter, you then have a greater mana pool and can look to use your abilities more often to push in the enemy minion wave to create pressure on the map. As for team fights, the best setup would be to shield one of your allies who are looking to engage, and then once they do, you can look for a shockwave followed by W for some nice burst damage, and then add the GLP active on top of that. Most squishy champions would be dead. Anyway, that is the highest ranked Orianna main on the NA server and his build. If you play Orianna, it is definitely something I recommend trying out. See whether you prefer morello or Hextech GLP 800. Anyway, this is going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If so, drop that like button, and as always, have a nice day.